The Pitt Season 2 Episode 7 recap. The ER is hit with an unexpected twist that changes the entire shift. Last week's episode of The Pitt Season 2 was a gut punch, as we said goodbye to Louis Cloverfield, Ernest Hardin Jr., the gregarious alcoholic who often found himself at the Pittsburgh Trauma Medical Center. His character had a heartbreaking end, but as tough as it was for the doctors and nurses who treated him, there was barely any time to stop and reflect. The shift continues, and in Episode 7, 1:00 p.m. 2:00 p.m., the staff find themselves at the mercy of one of their most challenging moments yet. After everyone says goodbye to Louis, it's back to it. Dr. Michael Robbie Robinovich Noel gets caught up as Dr. Baran al-Hashimi Sepida Moafi tells him that his debrief for Louis was lovely. He thanks her before going to see Cassie McKay's Fiona Dourif, cancer patient, Roxy Hamler, Brittany Allen, about her desire to stay in the hospital. Meanwhile, Dana Evans, Catherine Lanassa, takes al-Hashimi and Emma Nolan, Letitia Hollard, to triage to treat a sexual assault victim named Ilana Miller, Tina Ivlev. Emma's struggling with the weight of it all, but she says she's good to continue her shift. Ilana is brought to an exam room, where Dana gently explains the steps of the rape kit exam that she has to perform. When the episode returns to Ilana's case, Dana is finishing up taking photos and doing an exam with a UV light to find DNA evidence before moving on to a cheek swab. After an advocate shows up to provide assistance, Dana looks Ilana in her eyes and tells her, "This will not define you." When Ilana struggles to talk to the advocate, she turns to Dana, who she's quickly trusting. Later, Dana talks Ilana through a more invasive exam, but Ilana pumps the brakes. The man who assaulted her was her friend. He knows all of her friends. He was drunk. It didn't mean anything. Dana tells her to take a breath and come back. When Ilana leaves, the stoic Dana begins to cry. Dr. Trinity Santos, Isa Briones, now with an on-screen interpreter to help, visits deaf patient Harlow Graham, Jessica Flores. It's great at first, until the signal messes up, resulting in a frustrated Santos writing down her symptoms. She's stressed to the max, so it matters a lot when al-Hashmi later stops by, not to tell her what she's going wrong, but to commend Santos on the job she's doing. Victoria Javadi, Shabana Aziz, lets al-Hashimi know that Jackson Davis's, Zach Morris, parents have arrived. They're confused and want to take him home, so al-Hashimi takes them aside to tell them he's on an involuntary psych hold. Suddenly, the doctor looks overwhelmed and goes to a bathroom, where she calls the Pittsburgh Neuroscience Group and leaves a message for a Dr. Fairgraves. Al-Hashimi is his patient and needs to talk to him ASAP. Robbie tells Roxy that she's free to stay in the hospital, but it could be days before she gets a room upstairs. She'd be better off going home. He gets called away for a police officer who's coming in with a gunshot wound, escorted by Dr. Jack Abbott, Sean Haytosi, in full camouflage SWAT gear. We learn that Abbott works with SWAT when they go into dangerous scenarios, in case there aren't any injuries. Abbott immediately jumps in to help and meets al-Hashimi. The cop was shot in the neck, but it looks like he'll live. Al-Hashimi asks if Abbott ever worked in the Middle East, and they agree to get together and talk about it sometime. Abbott tells Robbie that al-Hashimi's cool, but Robbie clearly doesn't reciprocate the opinion. Dr. Mel King, Taylor Dearden, and Dr. Durden, and Dr. Samira Mohan, Supriya Ganesh, meet an ambulance outside where a dizzy high school football player, Elliot Green, Benjamin Louis Taylor III, he practiced for 4 hours in the heat. James Ogilvy, Lucas Iverson, and Joy Kwan, Irene Choi, help, still attempting to outdo each other with their knowledge. Meanwhile, Orlando Diaz, William Guirola, tries to leave because he can't afford his treatment. Mohan begs him to stay, but he won't listen. She at least gets him to wait a few hours while she sets him up with some treatments to take with him before he goes to work. Javadi's father, Usman Ali, introduces her to Dr. Amy June, Celeste Den. She's the chief of dermatology. June is impressed by what she's heard about her. She's called away, leaving father and daughter alone. Javadi appreciates him giving her ideas for her residency, but she doesn't know what she wants to do yet. Meanwhile, psychiatrist Caleb Jefferson, Christopher Thornton, meets with Jackson's parents. His father's brother took his own life, proof of a history of mental illness. Jada, Erin Kroom, hurt that she was never told, walks out. Javadi finds Jada and sits her down. She knows she must be scared and feeling betrayed. Some people have a hard time talking about mental health, but now she can help her brother. Scott Gemmell and John Wells also explain this week's spotlight on the nurses, the process of filming with real babies, and more. Mel tells Robbie that Langdon is setting up a cooling station to treat other patients dealing with the heat of the day, and in exchange, her boss asks her how she's doing with her deposition. Robbie tells her that her job is not in jeopardy. In fact, she's one of the best he's ever trained, so all she has to do is tell them what happened, and she'll be okay. He overhears Paul Hamler, Taylor Handley, who's upset that his wife, Roxy, refuses to leave the hospital. They talk about it together before Robbie gets called away for another patient who got into an accident with a boat propeller. In the elevator to the helipad, it's just Robbie and Langdon. They talk briefly about Langdon's son before Langdon screams that he's sorry as the helicopter is landing. Robbie's glad Langdon got the help he needed. But I don't know if I want you working in my ER. The younger doctor is taken aback, but with the patient incoming, there's no time for anything else. Mel jumps in, and Langdon is trying to focus, but he's having a hard time after that exchange with Robbie. Daniel Scott, Justin Park, is brought in. He got weak and dizzy while washing his car. Now, he's having seizures. The heat of the 4th of July is really doing a number on people. Santos takes over, placing ice packs on him. The cooling starts to help, so Al-Hashimi tells Santos she now has a chance to catch up on her work. Santos sits down to dictate her charts, only to be interrupted by baby Jane Doe's cries. Santos walks in to find nurse Jessie Van Horn, Ned Brower, treating her. Santos, who doesn't have the patience to deal with the screaming, starts singing softly to baby Jane Doe, and it actually works. The baby, soothed by her singing, wraps a tiny hand around her finger, and Santos tucks the infant in. Afterward, she goes back to Harlow, now with an in-person interpreter, only to take off again. She's not good with stress. When we see cuts all over her thighs during a moment in the bathroom, it's clear how she has dealt with it in the past. Dr. Mohan goes looking for Orlando, only to find his room empty, and Abbott changing his clothes. She talks to him about her patient, admitting she has a bag of supplies for him. Abbott offers to take it to Orlando's house for her. He's also struggling to treat an injury on his back, so Mohan helps him. Robbie notices this before asking Santos about her experience living with Dr. Dennis Whitaker, Jaron Howell. She tells him how he spends a lot of time with Amy, the wife of a patient who died. Whitaker wants to help everyone, and Santos doesn't want to see him taken advantage of. Robbie offers to speak with Whitaker about it. On the way, Hamler begs Robbie to make Roxy go home, but Robbie reminds the man that supporting her choices is the best thing he can do. Al-Hashimi is called up to see hospital CEO Trent Norris, Victor Rivas Rivers, over Robbie, which surprises even him. A few minutes later, Norris tells everyone that Westbridge Hospital was hit with a cyber attack, which explains the code black, diverting all their patients to PTMC. Now, the Dominion Hospital has been hit too, and those responsible are requesting a ransom. PTMC systems are vulnerable to the same attack, so everything is being shut down. This is going to be fun, Abbott says. Noah Weil is the biggest star, but Catherine Lanassa steals the spotlight.